Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to the Operation Heal 100 Hearts channel where we do what? Focus on healing, humor, and hot mother freaking topic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just finding my page miraculously, please hit the subscribe button. Also, hit the thumbs up on this video because that is your free way of getting my channel out into the algorithm and showing me some support. And you are now tuned into the healing segment of my channel, the Dear Deja letters. So please stick around so you can hear my feedback for this letter and drop some commentary in the comment section. Let's get it going. Dear Deja, I've been married for 6 years and with my man for 14. He has a 19-year-old son that he's had his ups and downs with, but within the last 5 years, things have gotten better. Well, let me give you a clear view. Of course, it was a bitter baby mother syndrome when she found out my man, aka her baby father, had moved on, and especially with a bad bitch like me. So at first, it was drama about him getting the son, then drama about the son being around me. And once she saw she couldn't get in the way of any of that, she uprooted the kid and moved down to Virginia. And because of the distance and mommy dearest getting in my man's son's ear, he resented his dad. Well, God don't play about my man because this bitch whole life fell apart down there and she had to end up moving back up to New York anyway. As soon as they got back to New York, the relationship with my man and his son got right back on track, which I'm happy about because the whole time that little boy lived in Virginia, my man was miserable. I almost had to leave his ass twice. So I was saying, so as I was saying, the boy is back, my man is happy, and to top it off, we got married. Beautiful. 2 years ago into our marriage, I got pregnant and gave birth to my own son. My handsome, oh no, yeah, my handsome baby. A year ago, my man's first son dropped out of college and started staying with us, which I was kind of excited about because I want my baby and his brother to be close, and so does their dad. This fucking kid is so mean to my baby, and my baby is in awe of his brother. Whenever he's home, my baby is following him around, asking questions, trying to play the game with him. He wants to eat whatever his big brother eats, etc. He sometimes ignores my baby, tells him to shut up, and he even, in my opinion, maliciously plays too rough with him. When I brought it up to their dad, he's telling me that's what big brothers do. He's just toughening him up. The other day I came home and the whole roof of my son's mouth was burnt because he ate some food that was just cooked by his brother and it hadn't cooled down yet. When I asked this kid why he didn't let the food cool before allowing his little brother to eat, this kid says to me he shouldn't have been being greedy. That shit pissed me off, mainly because not only was my baby hurt, but I felt like he did it on purpose, and I think the fucking father is in La La Land. Deja, I'm about to take my kid and leave this house before I hurt one of them. Send me some advice to keep me sane and to address this man and his fucking seed of Chucky without my emotions taking me to a place where none of us will be able to come back from. Send help. Sign. I think this kid is going to make me catch a bid. All right. Oh my goodness. You take a sip first. So what I'm noticing is lately my Dear Deja letters have been about children and parents feeling away because to some degree or to some extent somebody is mistreating them. You know, I want to say this, right? Like, I don't know. I'll leave my personal feelings out of it. Anywho, right? First of all, let me say congratulations. Congratulations on your baby boy. Congratulations on your marriage. And congratulations on your blended family. Because I think outside of what you feel like is taking place with your baby, you guys pretty much mesh and got that situation together pretty well. So congratulations on that. It's a very sensitive topic, right? It's a very, very sensitive topic. And I say it's very sensitive because all of the people who are key factors in this situation are all intertwined and should all love each other and should all want the best for each other. So thinking that a person doesn't is kind of scary. I know for me lately, I've been seeing little memes and messages where it says, people are jealous of kids too, so keep your kids away, or, just little things like that. I personally work for the New York City Department of Education, and while I've never seen a colleague maliciously and blatantly hurt or disrespect a kid. I have seen little things in areas that I've been in every agency that I worked for where, personalities don't mesh. Personalities don't mesh, right? And because of that, you will see a different side of an individual with a person than they are with other people. I've even had those type of encounters, right? So I've had students that they can be very disrespectful to adults, right? I'm not used to that. So for me, I am a very engaging person, but when I've encountered those students, I try my best to engage them less unless it's something that has to do with my job, because I don't want to trigger them, and more importantly, I don't want them to trigger me. I have work to do, right? So I think in this situation, right, even if the brother is treating little baby boy a little way, little baby boy may be a trigger for him. It's just a matter of addressing that and then being sure that is the case, right? So you said that you have been married to your man 6 years and with him 14. I can almost guarantee, almost, not 100%, but I can almost guarantee that you know your man very well, that you know him very, very well. And I would be asking you in the Healing Heart session, how illogical and sensible is he when it comes to his children, right? Because some parents, all sense go out the window when it comes to their kids, right? My mom wasn't that type, right? My mom could sit there and understand if a person is either A, picking on me because they didn't like me, or B, if I was doing something to antagonize that person to make the situation go in that direction. My mother wasn't so blinded about the fact that, oh, you're my kid, you never do no wrong. It was more so like, let me hear the situation because I know Khadijah. I know what would trigger Khadijah. I know what Khadijah is capable of. I would have to ask, do you feel like your man is the type to be able to look at a situation and be diplomatic? Like, okay, I know my son, so I don't think he's doing it maliciously, but I also can see how him having a little brother that's getting more attention, or that's younger than him, can be a trigger for him. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just asking, is that something he would be able to identify logically, or is he the type of person that gets blinded by the fact that I'm a dad and these are my children and they would never do such a thing, and so on and so forth. And I ask that because that lets me know if you and him can have a realistic conversation. His oldest son is not your son, right? And no matter how long you've known that young man, and no matter how much you love and care about him, biologically, he's not your son. He has a mom. And if there is a situation that's taking place between the oldest son, I think that it should be up to primarily mom and dad to address that. And then if they bring you on that support, perfect, right? If they say, hey, you're the bonus parent, we want you to be a part of this, perfect. But primarily, in my opinion, I could be wrong. You guys drop down in the comment section and let me know what you think. I would allow mom and dad to handle that. But dad has to be able to see that it's something that needs to be handled. Because it's one thing to be like, well, I feel like my baby is getting mistreated and you need to talk to your son. Because if now he says, okay, well, me and his mom will talk to him. If he doesn't feel the same way and you're not a part of that conversation, what the fuck are they talking about? Right? So he would have to be able to see and understand that that's what's taking place. But there's a few layers here, because what I'm also coming to learn is, once again, there is parents that is just very sensitive about their children and can feel like so many things is going wrong and their children are unprotected because they're just so sensitive about being a parent. I won't lie to you. To some degree, that is one of my fears surrounding becoming a mom, that I'm going to be that type of person with blinders on. And I know that could affect me in this world because, listen, not everybody is out to get your kid, but I may feel that way because of the feelings I have about my child. So what I think needs to happen is, in order for you to be clear on if that's what's taking place, and in order for you to convey that to dad, I think you need to make a list. I think you need to make a list, right? And the reason why I also say that is because if you have some things written down that are concrete facts, even when dad goes to convey that to the young man and he can't see it, right? He might be like, oh no, I just was playing, or oh, I didn't mean no harm. Dad can kind of run it down and say, but by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whether you meant harm or not, you caused harm. So we need to get that shit together. But sometimes, most times, oftentimes, when you're not coming with facts and it looks like you're coming with your feelings or your opinion, a person is looking at you like, well, I don't agree with that bullshit, so shove it up your ass. Right? So I think if we were sitting in a healing heart session, it would be like, I would be like, okay, let's write it out. Let's write out every single thing that you can remember from top to bottom. And this is not my opinion, right? Because we all have opinions. I work with kids all day. I have opinions about them. I have a stepson. I have an opinion about him. But those are not facts. I have nephews. I have opinions about them. Those are not facts. Those are only feelings versus what is really actually taking place. And don't get me wrong, sometimes our opinions about people are based on our assessment, right? But sometimes they don't always make them right because it's just a solid facts. Like, I'll give you an example, right? You can see, you can ask a kid, hey, can I have some of your candy? And he say no. And you say, oh my God, that kid is stingy. That doesn't necessarily mean that. I just probably didn't want to give you none of my candy. I probably would give the whole rest of the world some of it. So to now label me as stingy off of your assessment is not a fair assessment. That's your opinion off of something, off of an interaction that me and you had. Right? Whereas the situation with the food, that's not a fucking guess. That's not an opinion. That's not me making an assumption. That's actually what happened. You let my fucking kid eat piping hot food to a point that it burnt their mouth. And again, if it wasn't your intention to harm your little brother, whether that was your intention or not, you harmed him. And that's pretty much what dad could be saying to land a plane for the little boy. Because he may also feel like, oh, it's not that serious. It's not that deep. No, it is. Because as a result of what you did, something harmful happened. And we need that motherfucking behavior rectified, like you said, before your head fly off in here. So I think you need to sit down and lay it all down. Now, granted, right, I would also be asking what type of relationship you shared with the son. What type of relationship the dad feels like you have with the son. Because another thing is that you got to remember, the oldest son is not your son, but he's dad's son. So there may be, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but there may be a tad bit more sensitivity surrounding the oldest boy with dad than it is with you. So now if you come and you lay out 40 things that you feel is mean that my son did to our son, dad may peek at you. Do you like my fucking son? Because it seems like you notice all of the negative shit he did. Do you like my son? You know? So that's why I would be asking you, what's the relationship between you and the eldest boy? And also, how does dad view that relationship? Because you don't want for any minute dad to feel like you're picking on his baby, because that's your whole point of contention here. You feel like somebody's picking on your baby. You don't want somebody else to feel like you're picking on theirs. So if there is 40 things, right? How about we limit that 40 to 10, enough for dad to digest it? Because we want to make sure that dad knows that you're coming from a good place, which is, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, what I'm getting from what you said in the letter is, I want my son and his brother to be close. So I feel like if you are approaching this situation, yeah, I was pissed about what you being mean to my son, but I'm more pissed because I want y'all to be close. Not I'm only pissed because I feel like you don't like my motherfucking son. Because in turn, if I feel like you don't like my son, then I don't like you. And if dad feels like you feel like because his son doesn't like your son, you don't like his son, I don't know how well it's going to go, sis. I'm being very honest with you. I don't know how well it's going to go. So my suggestion to you is to be like, okay, let me give dad what he can digest. And you've been with him a long time, so I think you know what he can digest. Also, remember, you have said things in the past. And dad has said things like, oh, that's what big brothers do, and yada, yada, yada. So you can also factor in some of the old things that you shared, accompany with some of the new things, and then talk about what that looks like for you. Because I'm not going to lie, I do come from a background where the men in my family are tougher with the boys, right? So say, for example, two kids are playing in a room. Two 8-year-olds, a girl and a boy. If the girl come out crying, saying something fell on her, everybody in my family is gonna be like, "Oh my God, let me see it. Are you okay? Let me kiss it." Whereas if the boy came out and that happened, it would be like, "Let me see. You heard? Toughen up." That's just the way my family is with men versus women, right? I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's what I was exposed to. So that's pretty much how I maneuver with young boys and young girls. And you and dad can decide what you guys want that to look like for the two young men in your house. You may not, dad may look at it as, oh, he's just roughing them up, making them tough. Little boys need to be tough. Where you might feel like, no, I don't want my son being roughhoused and done a certain way. And that doesn't make me feel good. That's a conversation for you and dad to have. And this might open the doors for you guys to have it, because when you do, then he can now go back and convey that to his son. And in a way that doesn't make it a division. So because that's another thing. I know me personally, if I'm here and I'm here with my dad, but I'm also here with what he might view as a ready-made family. So not my little brother is here with his dad too, but he's also here with his mom. So you guys are a unit. I'm not totally a part of the unit because I'm not your son. I'm only my dad's son. So you don't want dad to go convey it in a way where it looks like it's only your issue, because if there's no division between you and baby boy, the eldest, this may very well create one, right? And even if it is, you don't want to make it further apart, because the goal is to all come together. Truth be told, you all are family. Another thing I would be asking is to your comfort level with saying something to the young man on your own. I'm going to say that I don't think you were ready for that, only because when you said, he said, you said, "Oh, why didn't you let the pool cool down?" And he said, "Well, he shouldn't have been being greedy." It seemed like at that point you cut off communication. And now you're like, "Listen, I'm going to have to either A, get my fucking kid away from you, or let your dad handle this." So I don't get that you're so comfortable, because if you were, you would have kept going, which is in that moment reprimanding him. I'm sorry. He's fucking however age he is, he's going to be greedy. You're the elder here, so you need to be making the better choice for him, which is not allowing him to be greedy and shoving in shit that's 100 fucking degrees to burn out the top of the roof of his mouth. Your response, like, I would have went in those moments, right, to get him to understand how he needs to be protecting and securing and loving his brother and not punishing him for doing something that he don't deem as right. You know what I'm saying? But the only way to get him to see that is to kind of walk him through that, because obviously he couldn't see it already. And you didn't give me the impression in your letter that you felt comfortable with doing so. Right? And I think I got a little sad for you, because I felt like you already jumped to, listen, it could be me and my baby versus me and them. No. No. It doesn't need to be you and baby boy versus the brother and the pappy. Remember, it needs to be everybody together as a unit, okay? It's just, how do we get there, right? And I think we get there with you and dad getting on the same page first. You and dad have to get on the same page first. And I can tell you guys are not on the same page, because when he hit you with the whole, when you hit him with the whole, wow, I think he's being too rough for him, it was like, oh no, that's what boys do. You said that because you didn't like it, and he said his response because he felt like it was okay. How do we marry that? And sometimes, when raising children, to my understanding, you sometimes do need the other parent to take control at some point, like case in point, right? From what I see, watching Pookie co-parent, Pookie is extremely communicative when it comes to his son. So Pookie is not the type of parent that, oh, I'm going to wait to say something when I'm angry, or I'm going to wait to say something when you do it. No, if he sees things, he can say, hey, I feel like, hey, what did you think about, hey, let's talk. So because of that, a lot of times I will see either a mom call to involve Pookie in a conversation that she needs to have with their son, or she will allow Pookie to have that conversation, right? And that's them partnering, right? Which is a good look, right? I think that you and dad need to find a way to partner surrounding what big brothering looks like for this little boy. Because another thing is too, either A, you could be being too sensitive and the big brother don't mean no harm. He doing what big brothers do according to dad. Or it could be exactly what you feel. Yeah, he can play with him, but beating him down and punching him and pushing him and telling him to shut up is not ways that I think our son should look at as being played with from his big brother, someone who's supposed to love and care and nurture him. Right? So I think before anything, my dear, you and dad need to get on the same page. You and dad need to talk. And I mean thorough conversation about what this looks like. Because I think what happened was you guys probably automatically assumed what that would look like from knowing the eldest boy prior to you having your own son, and then automatically thinking that he would handle a younger sibling the way you assumed he would. And now things look different. That's okay. Things change all the time. Things change all the time. Either one or two things happen. You adapt to the change or you change it back. But whatever is going to happen, it needs to happen now, because it sounds like you're 4 or 5 seconds from wilding, right? And I don't want you to create a division between, first of all, the children, because no matter what, they are brothers. I don't want you to cause a division between you and your husband. I don't want you to cause a division between you, your husband, your son, and your stepson. Right? Because that could get ugly for everybody. And the plan is not to separate, but the plan is to come together. Okay? So we need to be talking about what that list looks like. What's more important to put on that list too? Because that's another thing, right? You have to be able to factor in what's kind of like your opinion and nitpicking as opposed to what is really taking place. Again, that whole letting him eat food that was too hot, that's not about nitpicking. That's not about you being too sensitive. That's about something that really happened that caused harm. So that could go at the top of the list. And then you keep running it from there if you have more situations that presented that. You know what I'm saying? Like, case in point, let's just say he was playing with the little boy and punched him too hard and the little boy bumped his head on something. Like, again, he may not have meant to punch him hard enough for him to hurt himself, but the end result is that he did. So we need to talk about how you play physically with him, because we don't need him busting his fucking head open. You know what I'm saying? So these are real incidents where no, I'm not being sensitive and no, I'm not nitpicking. Actual harm came out of them. And we're trying to show you that this is your little brother who you should be loving and caring for and protecting, not causing harm to. And if you are and you're oblivious of that, hey, now your dad is making you aware. And if you are, and it is done with malicious intent because there is some issues surrounding him being the new baby and so on and so forth, that's a conversation that him and dad can have. That's a conversation that him and dad should have, because you do not want him having any malice towards his little brother. Siblings are supposed to stick together. And when you're gone and his dad is gone and his stepmama is gone, the eldest son, mama is gone and everybody is gone, those two boys will only have each other. You guys would like to make it so they know that and they stick together. My mom has always enforced that all we have is each other. Of course, our each other extended out to cousins as well, because we all were raised so close, but she also made it very clear that this unit here, all you have is each other. You have your brother and sisters, and you have your cousins. If anything happened, that's who you have. Don't come telling me about a friend you knew for 100 years or a fucking distant relative that you met last week. No. When I'm gone, when your father is gone, when your aunts and uncles is gone, it's your siblings and your cousins. That's who you have. Just so we're clear. And you want the big brother to make it clear to the little brother so he can start learning that as he gets older as well. We are all we have, not we are separate. Also, what if you guys want to have another baby? You're going to need baby boy to be able to convey that same message to the new baby if they come around. You know what I'm saying? So it's some things that need to be worked through, and I think that has to start with you, and then it has to start with you and dad, and then it has to trickle off into those boys. And it has to trickle off in a way that it doesn't cause division, but brings y'all closer together. All right, my dear. I hope I was able to help. I hope that you are not 4 or 5 seconds from wilding anymore. I hope that you come for your Operation Heal 100 Heart session. I honestly do, because I would love to have this conversation face to face and get more details. I would love to also be able to assist you in creating that list, because once again, I do feel like sometimes parents can be, most times, oftentimes, sensitive, and I want to make sure that your list is being created sheerly off the facts so you don't offend dad. Because like I said, the same way you have a right to be sensitive about your son is the same way he has a right to be sensitive about his. So if it looks like you're attacking his son trying to protect yours, y'all's, you know what I mean? That may still make him feel away. I have a son with you, but I also have another son who I love and care about equally. And I'm not going to let anybody mistreat him the same way you don't want nobody mistreating the one that we have. You know? So we got to make sure, dad doesn't feel like you're attacking his son by writing all this shit down about your feelings regarding his son and not the actual factuals. Okay, so, oh my God, my dear, I want this to work. I want this to work. I love you guys' relationship. I'm happy the boys are together. I want this to work. I need for this to work, because it will also, it also helps family build community. It helps family build community. And what I'm learning and noticing and seeing, and I'm not even going to lie, a little bit I see it in my family. Families are not what they used to be. Families are not what they used to be. I'm seeing that some families thrive off division, separation, And for me, if I love you and I care about you, I don't want to be divided and I don't want to be separated, right? Granted, as we get older, you learn that you can't always be together. You won't always agree on things. Yeah. But that also doesn't mean that, we're divided and we're separated. I want my children to know my siblings' children, to know my cousin's children. I want us to spend holidays together. I want us to be a family, okay? I want that for you guys as well. All right. So you guys should be dropping down right now in the comment section and leaving your commentary. Did I land the plane with my feedback? Is it more that you would like to share as a parent? Because remember, you guys are not a parent. I'm not a parent. I'm just speaking from what I think should happen in parenting. I won't know until I'm exposed to it and have the experience. But for my people who are parents, please drop down the parent section. Let me hear what you think, right? Let me hear what you would do. Let me hear if you've had a similar situation. You know what I'm saying? Also, please hit the thumbs up on this video. It gets me in the algorithm for free. I appreciate your support. If you're a new subby, I'm happy to have you here. Please stick around. Please check out this Dear Deidre playlist, because if I'm not mistaken, we are at the 100th Dear Deidre letter, and we need to celebrate. In any event, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your day, be safe, and thank you for tuning in.